From the epitome of luxury to the fastest land vehicles on Earth, today we're going to take a look at the 15 most advanced trains in operation today. Number 15. The Shikishima Train. Japan's train network is known as being one of the fastest and most reliable in the world, but there's one route that's also the most luxurious way you can travel by rail, known as the Shikishima Train. It's powered by a hybrid engine that uses electricity and diesel and is run by the East Japan Railway Company. First entering service in 2017, each train has 10 carriages, 6 of which are sleeping cars, along with a lounge car, a dining car, and 2 observation cars. One of the sleeping cars has just 2 deluxe suites in it, complete with bathtubs, while the other 5 have 3 suites in each. The dining car offers a Michelin star-rated menu. The observation cars give a panoramic view of the surroundings, and in total each train has a capacity of just 34 passengers. Because of this setup, the Shikishima Train is also the most expensive train route in the world. Usually setting off on a 4-day tour, it can cost between $2,500 and $10,000 for a ticket. If you have the funds, there is truly no better way to travel, and you'll be treated to some of the most spectacular scenery Japan has to offer from what is essentially a 7-star hotel on wheels. Number 14. The Jinjiang Intercity Railway. Opened at the end of December in 2019, the Jinjiang Intercity Railway connects 10 stations along a 108-mile route between Beijing and Zhangjiakou. It's a high-speed line where the trains can reach speeds of up to 220 miles an hour that allows for journeys between both ends to be completed in just 47 minutes, something that previously took more than 3 hours. One of the main reasons why the country devoted such huge resources to the development of this railway was to serve visitors to the Winter Olympics in 2022, which is being hosted in both of these cities. To ensure that everything operates on time and that passengers are kept in the kind of comfort they'd expect after using rail services elsewhere in the world, a brand new model of high-speed train was developed specifically for the project. Known as the CR400BF-C, it's streamlined to be as aerodynamically efficient as possible, and is the fastest model of train on Earth that's controlled remotely and therefore doesn't require a driver to be on board. The success of this railway is still to be judged, but if it's seen as a game-changer, then there are plans to link further cities around the country in a similar way. This could prove to be a vastly expensive plan, though, because to install the high-speed rails along the Jinjiang route is believed to have cost in excess of $4 billion, and that's to cover a distance of just over 100 miles. Number 13. Byron Bay Train. The Byron Bay Train is a sightseeing passenger train that operates in Australia along a 1.9-mile stretch of disused railway around Byron Bay in New South Wales. It's a not-for-profit rail service that uses a line that was built in 1930, but was closed due to low passenger numbers in 2004. Private investment renovated the line so it could be reopened, and they purchased a classic 1949-built 600-class rail car to operate along it. At first, you'll see and think that it's simply a classic railway run by enthusiasts, and that there's nothing particularly advanced about it. But that's where the Byron Bay Train is deceptive. This is because this is arguably the greenest energy train anywhere in the world. Originally running on diesel fuel, the engine has been upgraded, and is the only one in the world that can operate purely on solar power. With solar panels along the line and at the stations, the train is able to charge up and store power in its onboard batteries. The region is one of the sunniest in the world, so there's usually no problem with power production, but the train can also charge itself from the national grid just in case weather conditions prevent enough energy from being generated. Number 12. Freche Rosso 1000. The Freche Rosso 1000 is a high-speed rail train that was developed in conjunction between the Italian Rail Authority and Bombardier. First entering service in 2015, there are now 50 of them in operation on the Italian railways, and has been credited with significantly increasing the network's overall capacity. This happened because of 2 factors. The first is that the train is much faster than previous designs, with a normal operating speed of 190 miles per hour, and also because it has an increased capacity up to 457 passengers. When it was first unveiled, it was the fastest production train to be used in Europe at the time, and even has the ability to go much faster, with some tests suggesting a top speed in the region of 235 miles an hour. But the railways throughout Italy and Europe haven't been designed to withstand the loads involved at traveling at speeds like these, so a speed limit had to be introduced to prevent any accidents. Now, if you visit Italy, you'll find the Freche Rosso 1000 serving routes between Milan, Bologna, Rome, Napoli, and Venice. And thanks to a technology-sharing deal, they also operate on routes between Athens and Thessaloniki in Greece. Number 11. Sao Paulo Line 4. Sao Paulo is one of the most congested cities in the world, and to overcome this problem that only seems to be getting worse, vast investment has been put into developing the public transport network. The Sao Paulo Metro has 6 lines that connect various parts of the city, but by far the most advanced is Line 4, which is also one of the most modern lines in the whole of the continent. Opened in 2010, but continually being expanded, it currently has 10 stations along an 8-mile route. Responsible for transporting as many as 800,000 people per day, the designers learned from the experiences of the other metros around the world to make this as efficient as possible. The first element is that they used platform screen doors to reduce the chance of debris falling onto the track from the platform, and to let passengers know where the doors of the train will be so they can get on faster. There are 29 trains used on the line, each of which was manufactured by Hyundai, and have a capacity of almost 2,000 passengers, which is a significant increase on the other trains used in Sao Paulo. One of the reasons this was made possible is because the trains are driverless. This type of automation means that the front carriage isn't taken up by controls, but is instead able to carry just as many passengers as the others. Number 10. Eurostar E320. When it opened in 1994, the 31.3-mile-long Channel Tunnel changed the face of transport throughout Europe forever, providing a rail link between the UK and the mainland. Previously, the journey required the use of a ferry, which could sometimes be unpredictable because of weather conditions, and the introduction of the railway made things far more efficient. There are 2 types of trains that pass through: vehicle ones that carry cars and lorries, and the passenger ones that provide a comfortable journey for tourists or business people. The latest version of the passenger train, called the Eurostar E320, is one of the most advanced designs used in Europe, and are particularly impressive because they've been designed to operate on different rail track types, used in different countries. At 1,280 feet long, each train has a top speed of 200 miles an hour, and has a capacity of 902 seated passengers. Another unusual design feature is to adhere to the safety regulations needed to operate in such a long tunnel. To prevent problems to engine failure, traction equipment is installed along the length of the 16-car trains instead of in the power cars at each end, which is what typically happens. This means that even if there is a malfunction, the train should still be able to travel to the end of the tunnel instead of blocking it for hours before engineers can get to it. Number 9. Siemens Velero. Siemens Velero is a series of high-speed trains that are used across Europe on the latest generation high-speed rail networks. First tested and developed in the early 2000s, they have a theoretical maximum speed of 250 miles an hour. Usually don't operate anywhere close to this because the rail lines themselves usually only accommodate travel at up to 200 miles per hour. Since the first prototype, Siemens has modified the Velero depending on each customer's specific requirements based on the gauge of the railway that's used in the country and the capacity needed. The Velero RUS, for example, is used on Russian railways on routes between Moscow and St. Petersburg, where each 10-car train can carry up to 600 passengers at speeds of up to 155 miles an hour. In Turkey, the latest design, called the Velero TR, is used, and these trains have a capacity of 519 passengers and can reach 186 miles per hour. With countries across Europe developing even faster rail lines, Siemens is ensuring it's at the forefront of developing new technology, and has already announced the fastest of all, the Velero Novo, which will be lighter and more efficient than previous designs, and will have a theoretical top speed of 223 miles an hour. We're constantly adding more people to the Top 5's production team to bring you all the best content. Be sure to subscribe with notifications on and hit the like button. Number 8. TGV POS. France has one of the most extensive high-speed rail networks in the world, and to sustain the huge passenger numbers that use the railways every day, has invested heavily in the design and construction of highly advanced trains. They use models from various different manufacturers, but one of the most recent and impressive ones put into service is the TGV POS. First revealed in 2007, it was designed to serve a new high-speed line between Vendenheim and Vers-sur-Marne, and has led to this being one of the fastest and most reliable routes on the network. Each of the 19 trains is 10 cars long, 2 of which are the power cars and have a total power output of 12,900 horsepower, which allows them to reach speeds of up to 199 miles an hour. Another unique characteristic to the design is its ability to be used on the rail networks of neighboring countries, like Switzerland and Germany. They're also now used for cross-country travel as well. It's the TGV POS that, in 2007, set the new world record for the speed achieved by a train on normal railways, where it managed to reach an unbelievable 357.2 miles per hour. While they never get anywhere close to this when carrying passengers, it's proof of how you don't need specialized maglev tracks or extremely expensive high-speed rail lines to enable much faster travel. Number 7. Haramain Western Railway. The Haramain Western Railway is a 281-mile stretch of high-speed track that connects two Muslim holy cities in Saudi Arabia, Medina and Mecca, traveling via the King Abdullah Economic City, and with a wide sideline that connects to the King Abdulaziz International Airport in Jeddah. It was designed to not only provide day-to-day commuter services, but also to cater to the millions of people who visit the country each year during religious festivals. After opening in 2018, the expectation is that it'll carry upwards of 60 million passengers every year. The trains themselves are made in France and are the Talgo 350 SRO models. Nicknamed in Spain the Pato, which means duck, they have a distinctive shape that's been created to help them glide along the tracks. They're made up of 12 passenger cars, along with 2 driving cars, and each has a capacity of 417 passengers and are rated to travel at speeds of up to 186 miles per hour. 36 of these trains were ordered for use on the Haramain Western Railway, but one was configured very differently. It has a dual coach pair, which means it's designated as a VIP transport, with space for around 30 highly important passengers. Number 6. Harmony. Harmony is the name given to a range of high-speed trains that are used across the railway network in China, and they're some of the most impressive trains on the planet. There are at least 12 different variations, each of which is specifically designed for the stretch of track that it operates on. The differences between models can simply be the number of cars, which is typically either 8 or 16, but also the speeds they reach, the amenities on board, and the passenger capacity. The most recent version to enter service is called the CRH-6, and while its top speed of 155 miles per hour by no way makes it the fastest, it is definitely one of the most advanced. The 655-foot-long trains have a capacity of as many as 1,500 people, depending on how the interior has been configured, although most of the 24 trains that are either in operation already or that are being built will have a capacity closer to 600. Designed with seating to be as comfortable as on intercity routes, they're already being used for connections to and from Zhengzhou, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, and it's expected that further rolling stock will be ordered of the CRH-6 over the next few years to replace older versions being used elsewhere on the network. Number 5. HEMU 430X. The HEMU 430X, which stands for High-Speed Electric Multiple Unit 430 km/h Experimentals, was created for use on the high-speed rail network in South Korea. First revealed in 2011, the intent was to reduce the travel time between the country's capital, Seoul, with the northern and southern regions. The train, which is 484 feet long, has 8 passenger cars with a capacity of up to 400 people, and in tests was able to achieve an incredible top speed of 267 miles per hour. Furthermore, it's able to reach speeds of 186 miles an hour in less than 4 minutes, with less than 7.5 miles worth of track. As it relies on such a new design and untested technology, the HEMU 430X has been in testing for the past 10 years. So far, only one has been produced. The intent, though, is that the model will enter commercial service at some point in 2022 or 2023, and will gradually become the main type of train used on all of the country's routes. The expectation is that when carrying passengers, it'll travel at a limited top speed of 217 miles an hour, but this will still offer journey times between Seoul and Busan of 1 hour and 50 minutes, which is significantly less than is currently possible. Number 4. Hyperloop. There are several companies now looking at what the future of rail travel may look like, and one of the suggestions that's seeing the most investment is the idea of a Hyperloop. Instead of having traditional rails, the system is much more similar to a maglev railway, but instead is a sealed tube that has a much lower air pressure than outside, and this will allow vehicles to pass along it at much higher speeds because of the reduced air resistance. In theory, it's economical for travel distances below 930 miles, and will enable the pods to travel at supersonic speeds. This would drastically cut travel time, and in the case of one prospective route between LA and San Francisco, you'll be able to complete the 350-mile journey in just 35 minutes. It will, of course, be extremely expensive to build, and some analysts believe the $6 billion price tag that's been suggested for this line will be just a fraction of what it will eventually cost. With 8 companies around the world actively trying to develop their own systems after Elon Musk first suggested the concept in 2012, there have already been several test tracks that have been successfully built, which have only increased confidence that the idea will work. It's surely just a matter of time until an actual Hyperloop track is built, and it could prove to be as revolutionary as the invention of the railway was in the first place. Number 3. Hydroflex. The majority of trains around the world use diesel or electricity to power them, but as we move into a future where the reduction of emissions is vital to maintaining the health of the world, designers are looking at how to make train travel greener. You might think that electricity is the way to go, but nations still provide most of their electricity by burning fossil fuels, so until there's a radical change in infrastructure, this is still extremely damaging. A company in the UK, though, has taken a different approach. They've gone back to the traditional design of a train powering itself instead of drawing power from the rails, but instead of using a diesel engine, have installed a hydrogen fuel cell. This essentially generates electricity from hydrogen, and the only byproduct is water. They've already built the first model, which they call the Hydroflex. It's already successfully performed tests on the UK rail network. It's by no means the fastest, with a top speed of 50 miles per hour, but could well prove to be a viable replacement for use on suburban rail networks. What's particularly useful about this design is that operators don't have to order brand new stock and can instead convert trains that already use electricity to take the charge from a fuel cell instead of the overhead cables or a third rail. Number 2. DeutscheBahn ICE. Germany is known for meticulous engineering prowess, so it's no surprise that high-speed trains used in the country's rail network are some of the most advanced in the world. The DeutscheBahn ICE trains are the fastest and most comfortable trains in Europe and are aimed at business travelers and long-distance commuters as an alternative to air travel. The first ICE design was revealed in 1985 and continued to be upgraded across several iterations since then. Each carriage is air-conditioned, offers Wi-Fi, guaranteed cell phone reception, digital displays throughout, and entertainment services like those you'd find on an aircraft, and have power sockets too, so passengers can continue using whichever devices they need. There are currently 259 ICE trains in use, most of which serve the line between Mannheim and Frankfurt. They do also cater to routes that travel out of the country into France and Austria, and the plan is for them to eventually travel to the UK through the Channel Tunnel. Able to achieve speeds of up to 200 miles per hour, there's arguably no better way to travel in Europe, even on routes where ICE trains aren't necessarily the fastest between stations. The fare still includes a premium because they're seen as being so much more comfortable than the alternatives. Number 1. Shinkansen. Japan is renowned as being the world leader when it comes to railway technology, and it's all down to a visionary project that began in 1964. The high-speed rail network, which is also known as Shinkansen, first opened a 320-mile-long line in that year, and has since expanded to cover almost 2,000 miles worth of track. The original one, which connected Tokyo with Nagoya and Osaka, has become the busiest high-speed rail line in the world, and in a typical year will cater to 159 million passengers. Of course, the technology has improved significantly since the 1960s, and while that original track is the envy of other nations around the world, the latest lines and trains being used in Japan are on a whole different level. Currently under construction is the new Chuo Shinkansen, which is a second route that will connect Tokyo and Nagoya. Incredibly, more than 90% of the 178-mile-long track will be tunnels, which means it's proving to be a monumental engineering task to complete. When finished, it'll be virtually straight, and any curves in the line will have to have a minimum curve radius of 26,000 feet to allow the maglev trains to travel at top speed. With the latest design of the track, there's a requirement of the latest design of train, too. It was announced in 2010 that this would be called the L0 series, and it shows just how far ahead in train technology that Japan truly is. A 7-car version of the L0 series set the world record in 2015 for rail vehicles when it clocked in at 375 miles per hour. While passenger trains won't be traveling at this speed, they're designed to have an average speed along the route of 310 miles per hour, which is at least 100 miles per hour faster than virtually any other high-speed railway in the world. This will cut the already impressively short travel time between Tokyo and Nagoya to just 40 minutes. And all of this will be with the usual Japanese efficiency, where every train will leave and arrive perfectly on time. Watch our Vehicles playlist for more top 15 videos about amazing vehicles. Sit back, relax, and binge watch all of our best vehicle videos.